We've been carrying the story on the news. I actually first read about this on the weekend and thought to myself, wow, this hasn't been talked about a whole lot. And it's something that, at the end of the day, we know what happened during the pandemic and how stressed and busy and working nonstop urgent santé workers were. And then I know there was an issue with the government and working on contracts. But then to read that there are up to 24 fewer urgent santé ambulances on the road over the weekend brought up the question of why this is happening and why no one's talking about it. HAL NEWMAN is a former paramedic and firefighter. He's got more than 4 decades of experience in emergency health services. He now writes for the Rover. He's on the line right now. Hal, you brought this to our attention. I know you posted about this. My first question is, it seems to me 24 fewer urgent santé vehicles on the road. I mean, that could lead to a very, very serious situation where something tragic to happen. And I mean tragic, where you needed to have more than 1 or 2 ambulances showing up at one time. Why is this happening?
It's happening because there's a critical shortage of paramedics, and nothing's been done to resolve that. So there are fewer paramedics going into the profession, fewer students going into the paramedic programs. There are fewer students graduating. Paramedics who are currently on the job, they work in brutal conditions. Contract negotiations have been prolonged. 2 years, it's ludicrous. And so, look, we don't. Sorry, I can cut through all of the political conversation just to say, if we really gave a damn about our patients, then we would prioritize taking care of the people who take care of our patients, and that's the paramedics. And we don't. And so now we have this system that's profoundly dysfunctional, and the paramedics who've been working in it for years are reconsidering their futures, and they're not booking overtime, and they're calling off sick because they're exhausted.
I want to go back to what you described at the beginning, because I understand there's kind of like a chain here. You talk about people now working who don't want to go back or don't want to do overtime. But I was surprised to hear there are fewer people wanting to do this to begin with. When did that start?
Geez, that's been an ongoing issue. If you look at being a paramedic, so paramedic in Quebec, you're paid less than your colleagues across Canada. It's not a secret that the conditions are brutal. Call volumes steadily increasing. When you retire, if you manage to last that long, the pension plan is mainly hypothetical. I have a friend who recently retired after 40 years, and his financial advisor just said, dude, I hope you have a secondary hustle to get you through retirement.
Oh, boy.
If you're someone looking to start your career or you're starting a second career, being a paramedic isn't that attractive at the moment. And that's the deal. We need to prioritize these people, and we don't.
Hal, I'm wondering what it's like for you, someone who worked in the field, who was passionate about it. You've been very vocal about what was going wrong, shining a light on it, warning about situations like this that were going to happen. What's it like for you to see it happening in real time?
It's awful. And the other thing, I started the last ambulance page thinking I would focus on the problems with urgent santé, only to find out that it's across the province. And because paramedics are prevented from talking to the media as a condition of their employment, I've somehow become the default de facto spokesperson for paramedics. And the messages they send, to the tune of about 30 to 50 messages a day, they're just all heartbreaking. So to watch it unfold in real time, it breaks my heart. And, once you're a paramedic, you're always a paramedic. And it's heartbreaking.
Well, are we reaching, you're describing a pretty awful situation here. People who are already unhappy on the job. Those who, are coming up don't want this job. Are we reaching a critical turning point here?
Oh, we reached the point of no return a little while back, I think. Look, this past weekend, we're talking the metropolis, Montreal and Laval, the heartbeat of Quebec, nearly 50% absenteeism. Wow. And if it can happen in Montreal, can you only imagine what's going on in the Côte-Nord, in Abitibi, Saguenay, the Gaspé? There's this one little community called Bay Trinité. It's out on the North Shore. They haven't had ambulance service there since May 25th.
My God.
They suspended the service. There are no paramedics to work out there.
And why is that? I mean, the government's obviously aware of this. Why are we not hearing anything from them? Or what is the issue here with the government, as far as you know?
Why isn't the government prioritizing paramedics in their negotiations? That just absolutely beats the hell out of me. Sorry, I don't have an answer to that one.
Whose fault is this, Hal, and how can it be fixed?
There's a leadership deficit in the Ministry of Health and Social Services. The people who are supposed to be providing leadership for pre-hospital care aren't. And the system's beholden to bureaucrats. I know people say the same thing about the healthcare system, and so this is a piece of the healthcare system. But the system is completely beholden to the bureaucrats and to all of the rules and the guidelines and the protocols that frame it, rather than being focused on the needs of the people who depend on it, which is me and you. That's it.
I'm wondering, we're talking to you, as Natasha said, you're someone who's been doing this for who has done this for a long, long time. Are we not hearing from someone like a union rep or somebody from the Urgence Santé because they are, in fact, as you said, not allowed to talk to the media? Is that what's going on?
You'll hear from union reps, I have no doubt. And they have a different perspective that's very labor-oriented, and I get that. They're allowed to speak out without repercussions. At least I hope they are. But the average paramedic, no. The average paramedic, if they go public, they risk their very job. And just, I just ran a survey actually, talking to paramedics, asking them about job satisfaction, and some of the results, some of the preliminary results are fascinating. They're still in love with being paramedics, but a full 70% of them say they're exhausted or burnt out. But in the same survey, the same amount, 70%, report that they're still in love with the job.
Mm-hmm. Of course, this is post-pandemic now. We imagine, 2 years ago, a year ago, perhaps that number, we'd understand why that number about people being burnt out and thought they'd had enough was there. But that's not the case anymore, which is why it's even more disturbing now.
Yeah, we're into this post-pandemic, and now we're dealing with the collateral damage. Don't forget that we, the collective we and the government, we kept asking professionals to step up. Please step up. Take care of Quebec. You're our guardian angels. And so nurses, physicians, RTs, orderlies, paramedics, forgot to mention emergency medical dispatchers as well. They all stepped up. And now they're done. They are exhausted, and they're still carrying the system on their shoulders. And we're doing little to nothing to improve their working conditions. The emergency medical dispatchers at Urgence Santé, the employee numbers of the people who resign on the outside-facing windows of Urgence Santé's headquarters, and I think they're up to 21 since the beginning of 2022. So 21 emergency medical dispatchers have resigned from issues with working conditions.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to a number like that. My next question was, forget about the government. Maybe we don't know what's going on. I'm trying to understand why any opposition party has not seized upon this and kind of brought it up and said, hey, why are we doing this? And why is this actually happening? Why is no one talking about this?
Because I think until there's deaths, right? I mean, that's what it's going to come to. And I know that there have been some
How would we even know, Hal, if that's the case?
We did hear. Go ahead, Hal.
Sorry. There probably have already been deaths that have occurred. And if not, it's pretty miraculous. I wrote about it this weekend where an ambulance cleared the Institut de Cardiologie, which is the corner of Viau and Bélanger, at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, and then was sent to a priority 0. That's a life-threatening call. Priority 0 is a high likelihood of cardiac arrest. And the location of the call, Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue.
Wow.
Yeah. And as they're rolling, 20 minutes out, they finally get canceled because they found another ambulance. Where's the other ambulance coming from? The off-island. It's coming from the Montérégie.
Wow. Oh, my God.
So, sorry, there are numerous examples.
Yeah.
Some of the more obscene ones are in the Outaouais, listening to a small town where the ambulance service had been disrupted for a few days. Call came in for priority 1, life-threatening emergency, no ambulance, so they send one from Gatineau, 100 kilometers away.
Oh my God.
The friends of the patient bundle the person into their car and drive down the highway to meet the paramedics.
Yeah, I remember
And
that
that's
story.
insane. We're in Quebec.
Yeah. Hal, we're out of time. This is something I think maybe we can bring up next time we have a political, leader here, someone from the opposition, because it seems the government, as I said, I've not heard anything about this. And maybe we can actually ask the question and bring it up. I thank you so much for your time, Hal.
No worries. Thanks for the
Appreciate
privilege
it.
of talking with you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Hal. Thanks for shining a light on
We're
this.
both sitting here and kind of like,
No, I can't
how is this
believe it.
possible?
I can't believe it. And I can't believe more of a stink isn't being made
Yeah.
about it, to be honest. I'm glad we're talking about it in the news. I'm glad
get it.
Hal's telling the story. I can't believe, again, you know what I'll think to myself is, how is the CAQ getting away with this? How have they not
Yeah.
fixed this?
Well, where's the opposition, banging on the desk saying, how
Agreed.
is this happening?
Agreed, because unless the pressure's put on them to do something about it.